Hi there, Carlos here from Life in Silver. Last time I just wrote an article about ISO speed and some considerations and examples, so I will leave you the link on the comments. And now I'm going to teach you how to load the film on your camera and something about shutter speeds. So stay tuned and keep on the channel. This time we are going to need to have our cameras ready without a film, a new film, one from a box, or the one we reloaded last time with the bulk film. First, I'm going to be using a semi-automatic camera. Most of these cameras had automatic winding and rewinding of the film. And in this case, well, if we open, most of these cameras had a certain kind of lever here, a release lever. We can open it and will show us, well, how the inside looks like. As you can see, we place the film here and there's a orange marking here. In this kind of cameras we do not need to cut the film, and I show you how we need to cut it. You just need to pull it, hold the film, pull it all the way to the orange mark and close the camera. The next thing you are going to do is just turn it on in any mode and it will start to count. You may be able to see here that the number of film is increasing and then it gets to a stop. This is a beginner's camera, so what this camera do is unwind all the film, and each shot I make it's going to start to putting inside the can all the way until the end of the shot, like this. Well, I made a very long exposure. Mm, 10 seconds, wait. There you go. It made the photo. Well, at least just 10. Each time I shoot, it winds the movie or the film in this side, and if I want to make it to all the way to the beginning again, I just simply put the dial on the rewind mode and push the rewind button. And there you go. It starts rewinding the film into the film until it ends. And you can see the film is safely secure again on the can. These cameras tend to put the film just again inside of the canister, so it's foolproof. Now, in these old cameras, maybe you won't be able to see it very clearly, but this part is going to have an opening with a little claw down here. This was because most films were sold, well, most films are sold, even nowadays, with this kind of tongue-like shape. So it only spools in this zone. Most old cameras work the same. So what are we going to do now? Well, we are going to try to emulate the original tongue from a film. As you can see, it's more or less like a thumb. Maybe it's a little bit less than an inch. So this is your bulk film, or imagine it is, and what I'm going to do is to cut it this way and try to make it curvy. Avoid, for example, this time I didn't did very well. You have to avoid this kind of very angle like cut, and again try to do this a little bit more curvy something like this one. You can, and maybe the camera doesn't focus very well, but as you can see, it's a little bit more curvy like. So, well, most cameras has this winding knob, and most of them, when you pull it up, it opens the cover. In this case, well, this camera, it's a little bit different. It opens from the bottom. So, what we are going to do is to find this pull zone and try to insert the film very tight in there. As you can see, I'm pulling this and the film didn't came with me. The next thing we are going to do is to load the system. 1, 2, and now it's working. This technique, or well, this kind of loading film, you have to become very practiced with it. But once you have properly attached the film, you can see this knob is going to be moving. If it's not moving, you didn't put the film right. And to unwinding this film, you just need to press a button down here, and well, it releases the system, the mechanism, and you can wind it with your hand. Because well, this is just an example film. If I show you, well, with other cameras I have around here, well, for example, this is very easy to use, and this one has the classic lever-like thing, and if you pull it up, it will open the door. You're going to look for the opening here. If you don't find it, you can turn this thing a little bit. Sorry for the illumination. In this case, this camera winds the film in an opposite direction, and then when it's ready, just take the canister, put down this thing, and close. As you can see, this starts to roll, meaning that the film it has been put the right way. And again, for releasing the movie again, the film, sorry, just press this little button down here, pull up this lever, and you are going to see an arrow. This arrow indicates the way you have to rotate this for making your film back again on the canister. Always is clockwise direction, and it has been released. And well, I just take it off. And for last, there's another electronic camera that I have. In that little one, you just, like the SLR I have, you just have to put the canister on position and where the film must be. So, for example, I'm going to open this. Just like the other camera, just has a little thing here. This also have the system, like, and here says put the film in this position. Pull this thing until the film position, close, and you're done. Oh, well, I made something wrong. It didn't pull, there's another marking here where it says where to put the film. There's a little line there. Well, I don't know what's going on with this camera. Well, the lens is shut, so I'm going to put it in again. I'm going to pull the film again into the line and close. And now it filled the film. You're going to do some test shots until it says 1. 1. So this is going to be our first photo. 2. And so on. And to rewind, well, this camera is more easy. Just wait until the film is over, or just pull the trigger. Well, its little engine doesn't hold up with this kind of inventions with loaded film. If you just use normal film, it will not be that bad. So on to the next step, we're going to talk about shutter speeds. So for this part of the explanation, I'm going to use my SLR camera, so I hope it's going to be more easy to understand. And what I'm going to do is to put it on the TV. TV is the mode of the camera in which I can freely choose the speed which I want to make the shot, and the camera will compensate the other values. But in this case, as you can see, I'm not inserting any lens, so you can see through it and see how different time exposures are. In most of the cases, well, with this kind of cameras, you have this setting. With older cameras, some had on the lens ring, some had a green number or a green A, indicated that the aperture is going to be totally manual. But by now we're going to be only focusing on speed, shutter speed. In other brands, for example Nikon uses the letter S for this mode. And well, if you have a mechanical camera and if you do not attach any lens, well, the speed is going to be way independent from whatever it's in front of the camera. So you are also going to be able to see what's going to happen in there. So well, I'm going to show you. Well, maybe I'm going to need to move all my setting. Maybe you are not going to be able to see through the mirror, and I'm going to open the door. So, if you read my note on Life in Silver, that I'm going to leave you the link below, you're going to see that there are many different speeds. Well, in these cameras, most often they have a dial up here. And let's get started over 1,000th of a second. As you are going to see, maybe you're not going to be able to see. It's too fast for the camera to capture the difference. So I'm going to be slower, like the half, 500. Not able to be, let's go the half, 350. The half, 125th, not 160, 130, 150th. Maybe you're just going to be starting to see the half. Yeah, you're going to be one second. Most mechanical cameras just have until 1 second, meaning that you cannot do more long exposures unless the camera has the bulb function. In this case, these cameras have its own program, longer shutter exposures, like 8 seconds. So it's gonna be wide open until the clock says 8. And of course, these cameras also have the bulb function. Bulb function is just a B, well, you have to be on manual setting to choose bulb. And as you can see, as long as I have the button pressed, the shutter is going to be open. Again. So what are we going to be achieving with different shutter speeds? Well, imagine to have like a middle point. If you see 125 on your camera, let's think it's a midpoint. If you go to higher speeds like 250, 500, 1000, and some other cameras that are going to be able to shoot longer exposures, faster exposures like 2000, 4000 and 8000, well, what we are going to be doing is that the camera, it's going to let pass just that instant of time of light. So with longer exposures, we are only letting the camera to see a brief part of reality in which it will only be able to see that thing and it be able to freeze it, or call it in a more accurate way, to let it be still. So if you're trying to steal something that is in movement, it's better to be on the higher speed ratios. And then if we go again to 125th and we go the other way to 160, 130, 115, 18, we're letting more light pass through our lenses or to our cameras, to the film. So what the effect is going to be like, it's going to let us show us like something like a blur. It will show the trajectory of some objects and maybe be kind of interesting in the way it will show us how things move. It's going to be giving us a motion sense on our photographies. So this is very useful if we are trying to do some moving objects, or our subject is a moving object and we want to, if it has a very strange pattern, maybe it's worth to steal that movement. In the way, for example, some jugglers and their things that are juggling may have an interesting pattern while they're over their head, and maybe sometimes our eyes are not able to see how those things move. Our eyes will not have the capacity to capture all that. So with a still photo, we're going to be able to see very clearly the objects that he's juggling and how they are juggling over his head. But if we want to make some more like a moving effect, we're going to be going all the way opposite. So, or maybe his balls or his toys or whatever they're called may leave trajectories all over my image, and maybe his face is going to be in the center, surrounded by these things he's juggling, and maybe it's going to give us some kind of motion to our photograph. So again, I'm going to repeat you. I'm going to leave you the link below so you can read with more pace what I'm trying to explain here. And I'm going to leave some examples there, so you are going to be able to see the difference between a blur and a still. And if you still want to see some other examples, please ask me, leave a comment, and see you next week.